Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's episode on digital payments, digital trade. Okay, I just wanted to be sure that I am muted. So sorry. Okay, good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to today's conversation on digital cross-border payments, ensuring seamless transactions. This is a topic that cuts across everything that has to do with from the price of your favorite imported snacks to the growth of a multi-million billion dollars transaction. I am Egbuokporo, and I'll be moderating the discussion for today. Joining me to unpack this conversation are brilliant minds in Intermarc Consulting. Join me in welcoming the General Manager of Intermarc Consulting, Godfrey, Egbuokporo, and the Assistant Manager of Intermarc Consulting, Pelumi, Makinde. Just for the benefit of our audience, the topic again is cross-border payments, ensuring seamless transactions. Welcome, sir. So the topic again is cross-border payments, ensuring seamless transactions. And just as we know, in this global digital economy, individuals and businesses they are increasingly in need of sending money and of course receiving money across borders. So today the objective of this conversation is to address the lapses, because sometimes there are lapses around sending and receiving money across borders. So today we want to address what the lapses are, what the challenges are, what are the initiatives that the financial organizations are doing, or rather the innovations that are being done in the financial industry, in addition to the initiatives with what AFTA is currently doing to ensure that all of these things are reduced, the lapses are reduced, cross-border payments is done efficiently and smoothly, and individuals and businesses kind of send money seamlessly as well. So before diving into today's conversation, I would like to invite my panelists. I'd like to get their general thoughts on the conversation, on the topic being cross-border payments. powering seamless transactions. So I'll be starting with the Assistant General Manager of Intermarc Consulting, Pelumi Makinde. Could you please share your thoughts, your general view on cross-border payments, how it is powering seamless transactions in the economy? Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, happiness, and happy to be here. Good morning to our audience, members of the audience who are listening in on this call. So I would like to start by saying that the topic that we're looking at, that we're discussing this morning, is a very important one. And we all know that African countries, as individual entities, have done very well. They've done greatly in managing trade within the confines of their borders. However, the whole scenario, the whole space changed in 2018 when AFTA came on board, and the aim of AFTA is to power seamless trade across the borders of African countries. So the objective basically is to remove the limitations that limited trade to the confines of a particular country, rather. So it's all about Nigerians being able to trade seamlessly with Ghanaians being able to trade seamlessly with Kenyans, and all that happening all over Africa. And we believe that this is the way to go. It is the right thing to do, because there is a lot of potential that can be unlocked for the growth and development of Africa. If you look at inter-African trade in 2013, the value, it was valued at about $192 billion. But this same inter-African trade is projected between now and the next 10 years, by 2035, is projected to grow above $3.4 trillion. And if you look at these figures, here we're doing 192 billion, and in 10 years, it has the potential of going to close to $4 trillion. This is something that Africa as a continent cannot overlook, because this potentially shows that it is one way where it is one thing that will drive the growth and development of Africa as a continent and the individual countries in Africa. And what we are talking about this morning is powering trade through seamless payments. You and I will agree that there is no trade without payment. No payment, no trade. So the essence is, how do we ensure that the trade, the potentials and possibilities that are available for African countries through trade is achieved by ensuring that payment is not an impediment. So that is why this topic this morning is very important, and we look forward to a very insightful discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pelumi. That was an educative insight. So at this point, I would like to get the comment from the General Manager of Intermarc Consulting. Would like to get your thoughts on this topic. You can have the floor, sir.
All right, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to our audience. So the topic on cross-border payments would not really suffice if we don't actually define what a cross-border payment is all about. Cross-border payments are financial transactions where buyer and recipients are in different countries, and this could actually include, remittances, trade payments, economic payments, B2B transfers, aid and NGO disbursements. We would also be looking at why cross-border payments are actually important for Africa, and the most important reason is because because it actually facilitates, financial inclusion, digital trade, diaspora remittance, and SME growth. And we would also be speaking on the current challenges in African, cross-border payments, which actually include high costs, fragmented systems, limited access, compliance, and regulations. We can't talk about cross-border payment without talking about the key innovations and also enablers. In this webinar, we would actually be putting emphasis on the Pan-African payments and settlement systems. So we're looking at regional payments solutions, we're looking at fintech solutions, we're looking at mobile money, and we're also looking at the regulatory and policy landscapes. We would also be discussing strategic opportunities in tackling cross-border payment issues, such as, what are the opportunities that actually lie within, enabling seamless cross-border transactions. This would also include SME enablement, e-commerce growth, proper digital identity systems. We're also looking at key players that have actually contributed towards, achieving a seamless cross-border transactions. Key players like the Afrexim Bank, the AFTA, the fintech companies, central banks, and also regional blocs, right? There'll be a lot of insights that I just shared throughout this webinar. But the most important thing to know is that there's actually more work to be done when it comes to, intra-African trade payments, which actually makes up about 50% of the total trade payments that actually happens within the continent. And it'll also be interesting to know that the average remittance costs, for cross-border payments is actually within 6 to 9%, which actually shows that there's still more work to be done to actually bring this to a reasonable level that's more profitable for businesses across Africa. And also, opportunities actually signifies that from 2022, the total diaspora remittance to Africa has actually been around 95 billion, which means it's really important for us to solve many of the bottlenecks that that would actually prevent us from going higher than this, right? There's a lot to unpack with this webinar. I'm sure by the time we start with the questions, we would actually put the spotlight to some of these issues and how we can actually tackle cross-border payment issues around Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, GM. Thank you very much. That was so insightful. So my next question will go to you. It's to be directed at you. Now, before talking about solution, of course, there must have been some problems that we should be highlighting. Now, I would be asking you a question in relation to the problems or the challenges that businesses in Africa encounter in making cross-border payments, because of course maybe businesses in Africa, for them to thrive in terms of making payments and receiving payments, they needed to be a seamless transaction, but sometimes there are some lapses. So I would probably like you to pinpoint what those challenges are, and then thereafter we can discuss what are the initiatives that are being taken to address these challenges. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. It's important to know that African businesses actually lose an estimate of 5 billion annually. This is actually due to transaction costs, due to inefficient cross-border payment system. In fact, sending money between African countries can be more expensive than sending it to a European country or to United States, with fees ranging from 6% to as high as 20% in some corridors. So I'd like to paint a scenario. So imagine a fashion entrepreneur somewhere around Accra, Ghana. She sources fabric from Abidjan. She sells online to customers in Nairobi, and she also partners with a logistic firm in Lagos, for instance. So our business should be thriving across borders, but instead, right, she's drowning in delays, unexpected costs, and also paperwork, right? So when she tries to when she tries to pay her suppliers in Abidjan, our bank insists on converting our Ghanaian cedis to USD and then back to West African CFA, which actually incur double conversion fees, right? And most times this process actually takes about 3 to 5 business days, and if the payment is flagged for compliance, it could take a bit longer. Customers in Kenya wants to pay using M-Pesa, but our system is not integrated with their own system, and so she's actually forced to rely on informal channels or global processors like PayPal, which can actually take high commissions, but most times are not even available in most African countries. Even in Nigeria, PayPal is actually not available, right? So this story is actually not unique. It's the reality for most African SMEs. Now the question is, what are the challenges we are actually facing when it comes to cross-border payment? The first one is high transaction costs. Second one is currency incompatibility. The third one is fragmented payment infrastructure. The fourth one is slow settlement times. The fifth one is regulatory and compliance bottlenecks. And we also have lack of trust and transparency. So out of all of this, all of these issues, right, the most prevalent one actually happens to be, high transaction costs, current incompatibility, and also fragmented payment infrastructure. So for high transaction costs, Africa actually has the highest remittance fees globally. Cross-border business payments are, riddled with, multiple intermediaries, bank spreads, and also compliance fees. And in some corridors, in some countries, example, Angola and Ghana, they are almost prohibitively expensive to send money through those countries, right? For currency incompatibility with over 40 plus currencies within Africa, and no widespread currency union, businesses are now forced to actually convert to hard currencies like USD or euros, and this actually leads to multiple conversions, unfavorable exchange rates, and also liquidity constraints, right? So for instance, in Nigeria, most businesses actually struggle to access Forex for trade due to central bank controls, which actually slows down payments and also affects import timelines. Another important challenges we're actually facing has to do with fragmented payment infrastructures. Payment systems in Africa do not, talk to each other, right? We have a lot of siloed payment rails everywhere, from mobile money to banks to fintechs, which actually means that seamless payments across borders are often not very, very possible. So for instance, a mobile money wallet in Rwanda may not communicate with one in Zambia, right? So despite both being operated by the same telecom cross-border support, right, we notice that there's a bit of inefficiency to how they are actually talking to themselves, right? So it's also important for us to study some of the fintech initiatives that is actually tackling some of those challenges. So it's not like there are challenges, yes, and there are also initiatives that are actually tackling these challenges. So for instance, we have fintech solutions from the MFS Africa. We have the PAPS, that's the Pan-African Payment and Settlement Systems. We have solutions from Cheaper Cash and Nala. We have solutions from Flutterwave. So speaking on some of the solutions from PAPS, for instance, this is actually developed by the Afrexim Bank, supported by AFTA, and they actually allow business to pay in local currencies, while central banks actually handle conversions behind the scenes, and they are mostly live in 9 countries and still scaling, right? Talking about Flutterwave, they've actually built a payment corridor across Africa, Europe, and also the Middle East. Flutterwave now partner with most telecoms, to facilitate payments, right? So, but in summary, what we're trying to say here is, African businesses don't lack ambition. What they lack is a payment system that actually matches their scale. The challenges across cross-border payments in Africa are very, very real, right? I actually highlighted some of those challenges, which include high costs, fragmented infrastructures, regulatory inconsistency, currency barriers, and they're not insurmountable, right? We've also seen, fintech innovators, regional bodies, policymakers, stepping up to these challenges, from, the PAPS, real-time settlements, settlement to the API-driven mode from Flutterwave, Nala, and other fintechs. I mean, there's a clear shift towards a more connected and also efficient Africa. And this is also the reason why, Digital PayExpo 2025 is also very important, because it's more than just a conference. It's a continental platform for connecting the dots, forging partnership, and also settling the agenda for future of digital trade and payments in Africa. Also at the PayExpo this year, would actually have a lot of people, breeding a lot of, payment rails coming together to, speak with people shaping the regulations. We'll also be having a lot of investors in this space, coming together in one space, right? And, this is where, the real, African business story actually transforms, from people who are struggling from people who are struggling, right, to people who could actually scale using some of the solutions these conferences will actually, profile, right? So it's important for us to, seize this moment, to, power African trade through seamless, secure and also affordable, cross-border transactions, using the Digital PayExpo 2025 as a driver towards the African we want, right? So yes, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Yes, that's all from me at this point.
Thank you very much, GM. Thank you so much for your thoughts so far. Building on what you said, I would be asking AGM this question. And the question is I would start from where you stopped when you talked about how Digital PayExpo is essential in cross-border payments, especially for the fact that Digital PayExpo this year edition is really dwelling on cross-border payments, and of course how it can help facilitate seamless trade across borders. So this question goes to you, Pelumi Makinde, and the question is that AFTA, one of the mission or vision of AFTA is to ensure that digital trade is being doubled, like it is being doubled across Africa, right? So I would like, in your own view, how crucial, since the objective of AFTA is to double intra-African trade, in your own view, how crucial is interoperability in making that happen? How crucial is collaboration? How crucial is collaboration among the industry in ensuring that this vision of AFTA is being made possible? That is one. I'm sorry, I'm going to be asking you two in one questions. The other one has to do with Digital PayExpo. Just like we discussed, just like GM mentioned earlier, just like Godfrey mentioned earlier, he spoke about how Digital PayExpo is serving as a platform in really spotlighting digital trade in this year's edition. So I would like you to help emphasize or throw more light on the role of AFTA in Digital PayExpo and the partners in Digital PayExpo, because one of the partners is AFTA. So I'd like to spotlight the role that AFTA is playing in addition to the platform Digital PayExpo to ensure that, this vision is accomplished, ensuring seamless transaction across businesses, across the borders is being accomplished. So over to you, Pelumi. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. And I'd like to say that Godfrey has done a good job of laying a very solid foundation with respect to the role of AFTA. And I'm just going to be building on what he has said. So one major thing that AFTA has set out to do is to ensure that there is across Africa, there is what we call single markets, and this is all about economic integration of all African countries when it comes to trade, digital trade, and when, like I said earlier, there is no trade without payment. So when it comes to trade and payment, Africa remains a single market. And what do we mean by single market? Is a market where, irrespective of your geographical location, whether you are in Zimbabwe, if you are in Uganda, or you are in Lagos, Nigeria, or you are in Accra in Ghana, you are able to carry on your business as if the person you are talking to, the person you are transacting with, is just next door to you. And it's all about removing the inhibitions that payment across countries from one country to the other, that it has presented to the flow of trade in the past. So that is one major thing that after is trying to achieve a single market for economic integration across Africa. Now, your question specifically is how crucial is interoperability? So today, what the situation that we have is that I'm in Nigeria and I have a business partner in Kenya, and I want to make purchase and I want to make payment. My payment is in Naira, and this person over there expecting my payment is expecting to receive his payment in Kenyan shillings. However, I have Naira, he has Kenyan shillings. What has been the experience over the years? It has been that process leaves the shore of Africa entirely. So it goes out of Africa and goes all the way to the United States, where you have what is called correspondence banks. So that payment that is going from Nigeria to Kenya first goes to the United States before it gets routed back to the shores of Africa, to my business partner in Kenya who is waiting for money. And we realized that this kind of system has introduced a lot of delays. A lot of time has been lost by business operators, MSMEs, in waiting for the funds to get cleared. I want my goods to be dispatched to me immediately. However, my partner in Kenya is waiting for proof of fund, for proof that I have actually made payment. And because my payment that I am making from Lagos is first of all going to the United States through Citibank, the correspondence bank, before it is routed to Kenya, it takes maybe 5 to 7 working days. So a lot of time is lost. A lot of money is lost in the process. And also don't forget that the fact that I am engaging a third party to do this, there are fees that either myself or my partner in Kenya will be required to pay. So what interoperability will do is to take out this costly intermediary. And Godfrey mentioned the role of the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. What perhaps is after is a system whereby rather than my funds going to Ghana or to Kenya, first leaving the shores of Africa to go to the United States, the first conversion to the United States US dollars, and then the conversion back into the local currency of my trade partner in either Kenya or Ghana. What PASS is doing is that payment that I am making is received by my partner in Ghana or Kenya or in Uganda instantly. That is what PASS is facilitating, and that is what interoperability is. So there are different entities in the different countries. So in Nigeria, we have the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System that routes payments, transfers out of from one bank, from one player to the other. We have a similar entity in Ghana. We have a similar entity in Uganda. We have a similar entity across all African countries. And what PAPS is doing is to ensure that these systems are able to talk to themselves. So the payment that I'm making here in Lagos, Nigeria, as it's leaving my account, NIBSS is picking it, and through the infrastructure that PAPS has enabled, they are sending it directly to the appropriate agency or appropriate body in Ghana, which is GIBS, yes, Ghana Interbank Settlement System. It is called GIBS. So that payment that would have waited 5 days, 7 working days, maybe more. Godfrey mentioned that compliance issues, if those transactions are flagged for compliance issues, it leads to an increase in the length of time that is required for the payment to be routed and cleared and routed to the destination. So it could be more than 5 working days, could be more than 7 working days in some cases. So what PAPS is doing is to ensure that this payment is free from all those encumbrances, and there is immediate and instant settlement, real-time settlement, so that my goods that I'm expecting does not have to wait another 7 days in the warehouse while my partner is waiting for me, is waiting to, confirm my payment. And another thing that interoperability does is, like I had mentioned, that it reduces unnecessary transaction fees. So I am routing the payment through Citibank in the US or in New York. I am expected to pay some certain fees for the services they are rendering to me. Even though it's costing me 7 days, 10 days, I still have to pay. So interoperability ensures that unnecessary payment is taken out. And this is very important because 60% of people who transact across Africa, they are SMEs. So a lot, the payment that they make means a lot to them. The payment that they make in terms of fees and all that means a lot to them. And if that is out of the way, this leads to inclusion of SMEs. A lot of trade in Africa today is being carried out in the informal sector. You cannot find them in the formal sector where you can trace them, and it is because of this sort of encumbrances. So if there is interoperability, all these MSMEs can be encouraged to bring their businesses and route their transactions through the formal system. So that talks about, I'm going to stop here about the criticality of interoperability among African countries in terms of payment and settlement. The other question that you asked is about the role of AFTA in Digital PayExpo conference. So Digital PayExpo conference, Godfrey had mentioned what we are trying to achieve, the objective of the conference for this year. And in putting the conference together, the essence of the conference this year being to highlight the potentials and the issues around cross-border payment and cross-border trade. We realized that we would need the body that is spearheading this in Africa. And glad to say that we graciously have AFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. We have AFTA both at the continental level, the continental office that operates from Ghana as our co-host. AFTA is not just partnering with us, they are co-hosting this conference with us, such that as Intermarc is hosting, AFTA is also working to ensure that this conference is a success because of the value proposition that the conference portends for the entire Africa continent. We are also working with the Nigerian Coordination Office of AFTA in Abuja. They are also partnering with us because there's a lot that office is doing. Recently, Nigeria was named the champion of digital trade in Africa. That is that is a stamp on the beautiful work that country is that office, the Nigerian Coordination Office of AFTA, is doing. And there is no way we would have this kind of conference without these bodies. So I'm happy to say that AFTA, both at the continental level and at the Nigerian level, is working with us. We are hosting this together, and there are sessions in the country at the conference that are being put together by AFTA. For instance, we have the Digital Trade Forum, and we have the Digital Payment Forum that is 100% being put together by AFTA. And the icing on the top of everything is that there is a masterclass that AFTA will be hosting during the conference as well. That masterclass will be going deep into the AFTA protocols, where AFTA will be discussing the AFTA protocols. There are protocols that have been put in place that will guide trade among African countries, digital documents, digital e-contract, and digital contracts. So AFTA has put together protocols, and those protocols will be at the master class. They will go deep dive into those protocols, and I believe that it's a session that nobody wants to miss, whether physical or online. The conference is being planned as a hybrid conference. So if you are not able to make it down to Lagos to attend physically, you can join online to attend all the sessions of the conference. So I'll stop here on the role that AFTA is playing at the conference. Madam Moderator, thank you.
Thank you very much, Pelumi. Thank you very much. That was like you literally gave us a documentary. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So we would be going into, I'm seeing some questions from the attendees, and I would like to throw some questions to our panelists, and this goes to Godfrey. So one of the question is, now she's talking about Burkina Faso. Now the question says that talking cross-border flexibility, you discussed about the challenges in cross-border payments in Africa. So she said, talking about cross-border flexibility, I heard that sending money to Burkina Faso is almost impossible. So that is like challenges in sending money across Africa. What is being done? What is the solution about this? And how can countries in Africa easily interact with Burkina Faso? So I really wouldn't want us to limit it to Burkina Faso, right? I would like us to expand it across Africa. What are the challenges and what is being done to ensure that countries easily interact and receive payments easily? Over to you. Thank you.
So Vivian, thank you for your question. And you're very right. Sending money to Burkina Faso and some West African countries using the CFA, can be notoriously difficult, right? Especially for individuals or businesses outside the West African Economic and Monetary Union. So in order to break this down, let's ask ourselves first, why is sending money to Burkina Faso so difficult? So number one has to do with currency and FX restriction. So the Burkina Faso uses the CFA franc, which is actually pegged to the euro and governed by the Central Bank of West African states, right? So only banks with direct access to this central bank system can actually, handle transactions to, CFA countries, right? And that instance would actually be limited interoperability, as what my colleague Pelumi earlier mentioned. So, mobile money services in countries like, most countries here in Nigeria, Ghana, or Kenya are not, interoperable, right, with systems in Burkina Faso that actually uses, Orange Money as their own mobile money platform, right? And we're also looking at, underdeveloped payment infrastructure So Burkina Faso's digital finance system is still, growing, and many international fintechs or banks are not yet, integrated with their local, payment service provider, right? So, but what can actually be done is, the PAPs could actually take this up. The PAPs created by the Afrexim Bank can actually, take this up by allowing African countries to settle cross-border transactions in local currencies, avoiding whatever conversions, and they could, fully integrate, the Burkina Faso block into the pass systems. We could also have more fintech expansion into Francophone African countries like Burkina Faso that would actually solve this. We could also have regional regulatory, collaboration that would also solve this issue. But the next question we need to ask ourselves is, how can Africa actually, interact more easily with Burkina Faso? What we can actually do is to, embrace the solutions I earlier mentioned from PASS, right? To build, multi-currency platform gateway, to also invest in, Francophone partnerships, and also to simplify licensing and onboarding in such a way that, central banks from other African countries can actually, connect with central banks in Burkina Faso or other, Francophone countries. So I just hope this actually answers that questions. If not, I would, like to make more clarification. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Thank you very much, Vivian, for your question. And I believe that our panelist has been able to make justice to your question to a considerable extent. So I would like us to take about 3 more questions before we wrap up. And this goes to you, Pelumi. One of the questions is that it says, why do so many, and this is from Oseni Teslim, he said, why do so many intra-African transactions still rely on external hard currencies like the US dollar or euro for settlement?
Okay,
yeah, so back to you.
Thank you very much. You would recall, and thank you very much, Teslim, for your question. You would recall that I had actually dwelt on the fact that currently transactions that shouldn't leave Africa, the shores of the African continent, go out to the US or to the UK to get settled and all that. And that is what I can confidently call an aberration. It shouldn't be today. And I believe that what Godfrey just mentioned, that African countries need to open up more. Now that we have a body like PAPS that is driving real-time settlement of payments and transactions across African countries, I believe that the thing that needs to be done now is to embrace that opportunity that we now have to ensure that transactions are not unnecessarily taken out of the shores of Africa. And I follow PAPS a bit, and I know that the leadership of PAPS is doing a lot to ensure that a lot of African countries, PAPS covers 54 African countries, and are doing a lot to ensure that African countries are signing on. And I believe that until that is achieved, we will continue to have this kind of aberration. However, I also believe that this thing is gaining traction, and in a matter of few years down the line, we would find out that this kind of things no longer exist. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I believe the question has been answered to a considerable extent, Oseni. So I would, just like I mentioned, would like to take 3 questions. Now we'll be taking 2 more questions since one of those questions have been answered. So I would like to take a question from this person. Sorry, I can't see your name. But the question says that with the numerous fintechs we have now, why has there been no breakthrough with the cross-border payments? Why has there been no breakthrough with the cross-border payments? And I would like to channel this question to Pelumi. I would like to get your insights on this. Why have there been no breakthrough, or what are the breakthroughs that are already showing up? What are the breakthroughs? So, just those two questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me take it from the back. The big breakthroughs that we have. So we have the likes of Flutterwave that are already and permit me if I'm not able to mention other names, but we have a couple of fintech operators that have been able to enable cross-border payments through their systems, and that is a major that is a breakthrough. But what I believe this question is asking, that considering the number of fintechs that we have in the space, the numerous number of fintechs that we have in Nigeria, how come we're still where we are? And I'm going to lay that on the part of regulation. So for every fintech to operate, there are certain regulatory requirements that they need to, comply with. So I'll say that compliance with regulations, until a fintech satisfactorily meets all the requirements that that the fintech has to meet for the regulator to sign off that yes, we can certify that you are free to operate in this area. There is no That fintech cannot roll out the services. But like I said, I believe that we're gaining traction. We have a couple of fintechs that are doing so well, and I believe that that traction will continue to, increase in terms of momentum. And in few years down the line, the situation will no longer be the same.
Thank you very much. So, building on what you just said, before I ask the last question I want to ask, building on what you just said, before I ask the last question from the audience, building on what you just said, I would like to channel this question to Godfrey, and the question is based on regulation. Now, how much of these challenges we've explored challenges that has to do with cross-border payments, but how much of these challenges comes down to fragmented regulation? How much of these challenges?
All right, thank you very much, Madam Moderator. So I would like to state a particular quantitative fact, which is to say that only 7% of African trade is intracontinental. This is actually compared to 59% in Asia and 68% in Europe. And one of the biggest reasons why this is very low in Africa is due to fragmented and also inconsistent in financial regulations across African nations. Right. To put this in better context, right? So just imagine you're a co-founder for a business. Let's assume the business is in logistics, for instance. You're co-founder for your business in Ghana, right? And you need to move your goods from Ghana, right, to Togo and Nigeria. And you partner with all the fintechs to accept and make digital payments. Now in Ghana, you would have to be compliant with the Bank of Ghana, with the Bank of Ghana, right? When it comes to digital payment licensing. And then when you decide to expand to Nigeria, you will also have to, apply a new license with the CBN, which also requires a different KYC documentation, new capital requirement, and in some cases, local entity or local identity system. And then in Togo, the French banking regulation also applies, which is a different compliance playbook entirely, right? Now, for every new country, right, for this particular business, it means starting all over again, which actually creates a regulatory bottleneck that burns time, burns money, and also momentum, right? Now, if the business have a dream, right, of fast-moving borderless trade platform, this could actually turn into a bureaucratic, obstacle at the end of the day. Now, the question is, right, how does fragmented regulation actually halt business growth in Africa? The first one is, like I mentioned, duplicated licensing and compliance, bureaucracy or burdens. We also have divergent KYC and AML policies. We also have, non-unified settlement frameworks. We will have, limited regulatory clarity for new tech products, right? And all of this actually has its own intricacies, right? So I'll give an example. A real world, example of all of this, bottleneck. So for instance, I'm a very big fan of cheaper cash. I'm a very big fan of M-Pesa. I'm a very big fan of Flutterway. So I know, cheaper cash actually has to stop, or not just stop, but pause operations, right, in certain markets because of regulatory reviews, right? Even though it had approvals in other forms of reviews. I know M-Pesa cannot operate fully outside Kenya and Tanzania due to national, restrictions in, telecom-led financial services. I also know that Flutterwave, that we all know, face licensing challenges in some countries while they were trying to scale to other countries. Despite being African well-funded payment countries, right? But in all of this bottleneck, they are missing opportunities, right? Without regulatory harmony, the Africans free trade ambition under AfTA is being undermined, right? And businesses can actually move goods, but they can't move money easily across borders. And this actually limits, trade growth. It limits investors' confidence. It limits scalability of fintech innovations. It limits financial inclusion under the continent, right? Now, in conclusion, right, if Africa was to unlock a full digital trade potential, I believe, right, that regulatory alignment isn't optional; it is essential, and I think this is also one of the reasons why we actually, organize Digital PayExpo every year. This year in particular, right, we wanted to be a place where regulators, fintechs, banks, businesses will sit together on the same table, to start conversation on it and also solve this, right? And this year's theme is actually very peculiar. Beyond borders, digital trade and payments is a direct call to action to push not just interoperability between different banking systems across regions, but also to bring about compliance clarity and also to bring about regulatory compliance across Africa. I think it's time for us to actually move from policy disconnection to full integration, and that conversation actually starts at Digital PayExpo 2025. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. I mean, from what you've said so far and from what Pelumi has said so far, it's clear that yes, in cross-border payments, there are challenges, but then there are also opportunities. And for AfTA mission to be realized, it is important that the policymakers as well as businesses and individuals collaborate. The collaboration is what will lead to the breakthrough that we need in ensuring a seamless cross-border payments. So to wrap this up, I will take two more questions. One will speak to Pelumi, or rather, I'm taking one question that will be channeled to him. Then the other question that is generally on Digital PayExpo, I'll channel you to both, I'll channel this to Godfrey. So for Pelumi, one of the questions from the audience, Michael Adegbite, he said, looking ahead, what will define success for Africa's cross-border payments in the next 5 years? We are currently, we've discussed about the challenges. We've also discussed about some solutions that, some innovations that players in the fintech space are currently doing. But looking ahead in the next 5 years, what will define the success for Africa's cross-border payments? Is it lower cost, faster settlements, greater inclusion, or something else? Thank you very much. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to answer that question quickly, and thank you very much, Michael, for asking the question and for also supplying part of the answers, right? And I want to say that because part of what Michael said is it lower cost, faster settlement, greater inclusion, or something else. Those I want to say that all of these are combinations. They contribute to what will uh, define success in the next 5 years. And another thing that I would like to add to that is regulation. Godfrey painted a very beautiful picture of how regulation can inhibit a business and discourage SMEs. Don't let us forget that a lot of businesses in Africa, over 60% of them are micro, small, and medium enterprises, and a lot of regulations here and there can easily kill those businesses. So he painted a very beautiful picture. So added to that, to the mix of what we have here, lower cost, faster settlements, greater inclusion, is the issue of regulation. And of course, for me, inclusion. I mentioned earlier on this discourse that there are a lot of businesses that happen in the informal space. Until we're able to bring those business that are in the shadows of the real thing, operating informally, until we're able to include them in the formal system, then there is no real success. So real success it's a combination of all these factors that have been mentioned, and regulation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pelumi. So just to wrap this up, I will be getting parting thoughts from the panelists, both Godfrey and Pelumi. And the parting thought is still based on one of the audience asked. Now, she said, how will this year's Digital PayExpo be different from previous edition? So this is a question from Duni. She said, how will this year's Digital PayExpo be different from previous year's edition? Because of course, Digital PayExpo has been on for so many years, and this is the 25th edition. What should the audience be looking forward to in this year's edition? What will make it different from other editions? What would make them anticipate this edition, especially as it relates to digital trade payments? So this I will channel this to Godfrey. You can have the floor now. Thank you.
So is this for me or for Pelumi?
So this is both for you and for Pelumi, but yeah, we can have your view first, then I'll channel it to Pelumi as well. Thank you.
Okay, so how do I say this, right? So I believe that Africa do not have a cross-border payment. What we have are cross-border opportunities, and businesses, fintechs, financial service businesses are leading the charge when it comes to speed, affordability, and also scalability. And this is what and to really fully unlock all of these opportunities and promises, we need collaboration, we need regulation, we need visibility. And this is exactly what Digital PayExpo 2025 delivers. It's going to be a rallying ground for builders, for regulators, for investors, for policymakers, to push African payments beyond borders. As my colleague earlier said, we are actually doing this with AFTA, in partnership with AFTA. So, there'll be a lot of conversations around how to solve some of the inherent problems we actually have. And to our audience, if you're passionate about transforming trade and payments across Africa, trust me, Digital PayExpo 2025 is a place to be. We're putting together forums that are beneficial to businesses of any kind, individuals that are actually enthusiastic about payment and also digital trade. We're putting together keynote speeches. We're putting together a panelist of intellectuals that are captains of industries that actually have that knows their onions when it comes to cross-border payments, and you don't want to miss this. You really don't want to miss this. We also have exciting exhibitions from people driving innovations when it comes to digital trade and payments. So I look forward to seeing all of you there. As you do well to register as a delegate. If you want to sponsor also reach out to us at Intermarc or reach out to us directly to our correspondent for Digital PayExpo. We're willing to actually partner with you to bring this this event to its to a standpoint where it should actually be in terms of conversation around digital payment and trade. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. So now, so Pelumi, I would rephrase the question. The question now to you will be that what should businesses be looking forward to in this year's edition of Digital PayExpo? Businesses, individuals, what are the innovations that we should be looking forward to, especially as it relates to cross-border payments? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Happiness. So if I can use two words to answer your question, I will say opportunities, one, and the second one is networking. And over the years, this is the 25th edition of Digital PayExpo. Over the years, the one thing has been very consistent. Digital PayExpo has been a nest bed of incubation of ideas, incubation of relationships. And for some of those relationships, and ideas, they have transformed today into full-fledged businesses. So Digital PayExpo has played that role in past years, and this year's experience is not going to fall short of that experience. So Godfrey had mentioned that we're bringing the whole of Africa together because this is an African discussion. It's not just about Nigeria. So what people should expect to see an array of display of innovations in terms of payment. We have close to 50 exhibitors who will put their solutions and products on display, and that is not something that businesses in the space, banks, fintechs, switches, and even individuals would want to miss. And this year, PayExpo is going back to 3 years. It's our 25th anniversary. Is going to hold from the 17th to 19th, and there are different forums that have been the conference session of the experience has been designed into different forums that will address different things for different categories, whatever the issue is. We have a digital trade forum, we have a digital payment forum, we have a forum that is focused on Gen Zs and millennials. What are their preferences? How do they want to consume financial services? We have a forum on fraud and cybersecurity. Those are things that nobody wants to miss. And this is our invitation to all our listeners to register today if you have not done so. If you have registered, help to put the word out there on your socials. Follow us on our social media handles, Digital PayExpo on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Follow us and visit our website, www.digitalpayexpo.com. It's an invitation to you and to all the people in your network. Join us come 17th to 19th of June at Eco Convention Center. I promise you one thing, you will not regret the time that you will dedicate to being part of this year's Digital PayExpo.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, our panelists. Thank you, Pelumi Makinde. Thank you, Godfrey. Thank you, our General Manager at Intermarc Consulting and our Assistant General Manager at Intermarc Consulting. And thank you to our audience who have been on this call for more than an hour now. Thank you so much for staying. Thank you to our panelists for sharing insightful contribution to the digital payments and cross-border especially. Thank you so much. And of course, to our audience, we won't stop talking about it. The key to breakthrough, the key to more solutions is to keep talking about it. And so we invite you, just as our panelists have invited you, we invite you collectively to Digital PayExpo, just so we can discuss more on digital payment, digital trade, and of course, see the Africa that we are hoping to see. So thank you very much. See you in Digital PayExpo.
Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com. Digital PayExpo 2025 is coming. Get ready for the most impactful payment innovation event in Africa. For 25 years, we have been at the forefront of shaping the digital payment landscape, fostering collaboration and driving financial inclusion across the continent. This year, we go beyond borders, exploring the future of cross-border payments, fintech-driven growth, and the next wave of financial technology. Meet industry pioneers, connect with innovators, and gain insights that will transform the way you do business. Join us from June 17 to 19, 2025 at Eco Hotel and Suites, Lagos, Nigeria, for 3 days of networking, expert discussions, and cutting-edge exhibitions. Secure your place today. Register now at www.digitalpayexpo.com.
Finally. I didn't hear my voice.
You are the same question.
No, different question. I said, oh, now looking at it, I give you two.
You're looking at me.
Thank God, China. One person. And people were, I was actually asking them real